Hello and welcome. This is the news on NTA International. I am Lami Ali. The headlines. As Nigeria identifies 21 suspected cases, Cameroon quarantines first COVID-19 patients. Nigeria and the United Nations collaborate to address humanitarian crisis in the country, constitute National Policy Dialogue Forum. Also on the news, Justice Monica Mansim takes oath of office as acting president, Nigeria's Court of Appeal. President Muhammadu Buhari has granted audience to the Iranian ambassador to Nigeria, Murtaza Rahimi Zarchi, describing the phenomenal growth recorded by the Middle East country as marvelous. State House correspondent Adamu Sambu.
The ambassador on a farewell. Iran has indeed come of age, recalling his visits to Iran as oil minister in the 1970s and as a civilian president. The Nigerian leader lauded the relationship between the two countries, describing it as mutually beneficial. Apart from the long-standing bilateral ties, which continued to be deepened and expanded, Nigeria and Iran also cooperate strongly at international fora such as the Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries, Organization of Islamic Cooperation, and the Non-Aligned Movement. President Buhari wished the ambassador, who spent about 4 years in Nigeria, greater successes in his future endeavors. Ambassador Murtaza Rahimi Zarchi stated with pride that his tour of duty in Nigeria is very successful. He described Nigeria as a very strong country in Africa with bright prospects for a sustainable future. He commended President Muhammadu Buhari for the nation's strides in the war against corruption and revival of the economy. The envoy said Iran had a lot of experience to share with Nigeria in the fight against insurgency, expressing the belief that the terror war would eventually be won. From the State House, Adamu Sambu, NTA News.
Now to health matters. A total of 21 suspected cases of the novel coronavirus have been identified across 4 states, comprising Lagos, Ogun, Kano, and the FCT. Out of these suspected cases, 2 were negative, while 1 result is still pending as Nigeria maintains its 1 confirmed COVID-19 status. Minister of Health Dr. Osagie Haniri stated this while updating Nigerians on the global pandemic. Health correspondent Rabi Abdullah has reports.
Nigeria's current coronavirus status is one the Minister of Health says does not call for panic or the contemplation of interrupting certain activities.
We are observing the situation very closely and working at developing a protocol that works for Nigerians but does not restrict activities unnecessarily and does not restrict normal business needlessly. So if there's need, we change the protocol. In the meantime, since we have only 1 case and that case is well defined and is receiving treatment, we haven't seen any other threat. We do not see any reason to bring additional to join other countries in creating this ban or that ban.
In addition to following up the 61 contacts of the index case, the Nigerian Center for Disease Control and Port Health Services, he explained, are also in touch with 55 out of the 148 passengers on the manifest of the index case flight for any development of possible symptoms of COVID-19.
We also continue to closely compare Nigeria's infection prevention and control measures with what obtains in other countries, and I can confirm to you that our standing in Nigeria is among the best.
The minister disclosed that the sum of 1.67 billion naira had so far been expended on prevention, response and containment measures, appealing for more financial support from development partners and the private sector. In response to the scarcity of hand sanitizers brought about by the global scourge, the NIPRID presented a product developed by the institute.
We're now working on cataloging a list of phytomedicines and trying to model them against the coronavirus to quickly try and identify those that may have activity against the coronavirus. Another thing we're doing in NIPRID is ramping up our activity on immunomodulating phytomedicines that have immunomodulating activity, because this could be an adjunct treatment for coronavirus.
Over 80 countries have so far confirmed COVID-19 cases. In Abuja, Rabi Abdullah, NTA News.
Reports just reaching us say that all the 3 COVID-19 suspected cases, travelers from France, England and China, whose samples were collected Thursday for analysis, have tested negative and have been discharged. Obiageli Ugoke has more on COVID-19 from around the world.
Hello and thanks for joining us. Cameroon's Minister of Health has confirmed the country's first case of coronavirus disease. The patient, a 58-year-old French citizen who arrived in the capital Yaoundé on February 24th, was said to have been quarantined in the city's central hospital. The minister said all measures have been taken by the government to contain the spread of the virus. Cameroon is the fourth sub-Saharan country to report coronavirus after Nigeria, Senegal and South Africa. The total number of cases on the continent is 29 since the coronavirus outbreak began. It has infected almost 100,000 people worldwide and killed more than 3,000, mostly in China. Meanwhile, the Kenyan government has opened a quarantine center in the capital, Nairobi, for suspected coronavirus cases. The facility has been opened in the wake of public concern about the country's preparedness to deal with a possible outbreak of the new strain of the virus, which causes the respiratory disease COVID-19. The facility has 120 beds in the isolation wards and an intensive care unit that can hold 10 patients. Elsewhere, the UK government has promised 46 million euros to fund urgent work to find a coronavirus vaccine and develop a rapid test for the disease. The government said this will include work on 8 possible vaccines which are already in development, as well as further research. The funding will also support a lab in Bedford to develop a test that could provide results within 20 minutes. And that's the package. Many thanks for your time. I'm Obiageli Ugoke.
Meanwhile, Information and Culture Minister Lai Mohammed has expressed optimism that the National Broadcasting Commission reforms of the National Broadcasting Commission being implemented in line with presidential directives will in no small way strengthen the Commission's regulatory role and make it more effective in the interest of all key players in the broadcast industry. The minister stated this at a meeting with a group known as FEMIC in Lagos. Anthony Forson reports.
The group, FEMIC, is made up of creative industry practitioners comprising movie producers, theater directors, and content producers, among others. The minister, while confirming the commencement of the reform, said the current management of the NBC under the leadership of the Acting Director General has confirmed the convening of a stakeholders validation conference to endorse the new initiatives in the sector, where the necessary amendments to Broadcasting Code on monopoly and anti-competition, on wholesome content on social media, and other amendments will be published to the public.
You can now see that this reform is not a fluke. I therefore want to challenge your group and other stakeholders to continue to cooperate with the industry regulator in order to ensure a faithful implementation of the recommendations.
The minister said the move is in good faith, targeting at placing the industry on a good state to enable it achieve its full potentials, hence the need for stakeholders to partner with the federal government.
The process for the amendment of the NBC Act has begun, and soon we shall be forwarding an executive bill to the National Assembly for further action. And on staff welfare, the board has received the approved recommendations and is in the process of implementation.
For the Acting Director General of the NBC, he said it is gratifying that the minister is committed to the presidential directive. Members of the group, in their separate remarks, commended the minister for the implementation of the policy, which is aimed at revolutionizing the industry for its potentials to be unlocked. The NBC Reforms Implementation Committee had submitted its report to the minister in November last year. In Lagos, Anthony Forson, NTA News.
And the federal government and the United Nations have constituted a national policy dialogue forum aimed at providing effective coordination in addressing humanitarian crisis in the country. Amina Babu Suleiman reports that the forum consists of all relevant stakeholders and will be coordinated by the Ministry of Humanitarian and Disaster Management and Social Development.
Nigeria is housing substantial number of aid workers providing support to the government in managing humanitarian crises occasioned by insurgency, conflicts and natural disaster. A national policy dialogue forum is therefore constituted with a view to providing proper coordination in the provision of services according to the international standard.
My colleagues in the UN.
Sadia Umar Farouk, the Minister of Humanitarian, Disaster Management and Social Development, inaugurated the Policy Dialogue Forum.
We have consulted with counterparts in Africa and Europe as part of our efforts to understand existing structures and apply global best practices in line with our priority to design and implement early warning systems for disaster mitigation in Nigeria.
The forum consists of all the relevant stakeholders, including United Nations agencies, UNICEF, FAO, and World Food Programme.
We must strengthen capacity of government delivery systems and mechanisms and develop a new model to bridge humanitarian and development by focusing on preventing, stabilizing, transforming, and sustaining.
The Dialogue Forum is to provide a bridge towards reaching out an estimated 1.2 million people that are in need of aid. In Abuja, Amina Babu Suleiman, NTA News.
Turning to the Judiciary, Justice Monica Bolnan Dongban Mensem has been sworn in as the acting President Court of Appeal. Chief Justice of Nigeria, Justice Ibrahim Tanko Muhammad, administered the oath of office on her in Abuja. Vera Chumba reports.
Justice Monica Dongban Mensem, who hails from Jos Plateau State, took her oath of office amid a crowd of admirers, family, friends, and the legal profession. Chief Justice of Nigeria, Justice Ibrahim Tanko Muhammad, who administered the oath of office, described Justice Dongban Mensem's appointment as highly deserving. He said her appointment is based on merit, competence, and qualification, having served the judiciary in various capacities with an impeccable record of service to her credit. The Chief Justice of Nigeria advised her to remain focused and discharge her duties with diligence.
I would therefore urge you, please, my Lord, to continue with your charisma, your good attitude, and your ability to carry out all the tasks.
Having served as Deputy Registrar and High Court Judge in Plateau State, the State Governor Simon Lalong, in the company of his KB State counterpart Abubakar Bagudu, were present to share in her joy.
I congratulate her. I also congratulate the Judiciary.
Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Boss Mustafa, expressed confidence that she would discharge her duties excellently. Until her appointment, she was the presiding Justice Court of Appeal Enugu Division. Justice Monica Dongban Mensem, who is an authority in criminal and civil procedure law, has made invaluable contributions to the development of the legal profession in Nigeria. In Abuja, Vera Chumuba, NTA News.
Quality legislation requires capable support staff towards achieving effective output. Speaker, House of Representatives Femi Gbajabiamila made this assertion when he hosted the newly constituted National Assembly Service Commission. He said, as an engine of the legislature, the commission should ensure that staff recruitment is based on merit.
Is tired. Is tired of being staffed with people who may not know their onions or what they're supposed to do. So it's not about the quantity of staff, but the quality of staff that is important.
He urged the Commission members to be diligent and avoid internal politicking in order to achieve set targets. Chairman of the Commission, Ahmed Kadi Amshi, says the Commission will be guided by laid-down procedures to ensure good representation and development of democracy. You're watching the news on NTA International, reaching you from our studios in Abuja. Time for a breather. Stay tuned for more reports after the break.
Coronavirus, also known as COVID-19, what you should do and what you should know. What are the symptoms? Runny nose, sore throat, headache, fever, cough, feeling of being unwell. Human coronaviruses or COVID-19 is most commonly spread from an infected person to others through the air by coughing and sneezing, close personal contact such as touching or shaking hands, touching an object or surface with the virus on it, then touching your mouth, nose, eyes without washing your hands. A COVID-19 infected person is most infectious when he or she is displaying symptoms. The most effective way to protect yourself from the virus is to practice good personal hygiene. Wash hands with soap under running water or use an alcohol-based sanitizer if water is not available. Avoid touching your face with your hands. We must also protect others. If we are sick, we should rest and recover at home as much as possible. If we need to go out and see a doctor while sick, we should wear a surgical mask to protect others from being infected. This message is from the National Orientation Agency.
Today or 4 days when my girls won't come visit and I need to come go expire.
Oh, my guys, they can't follow me watch this match. I must not fold the hand.
Babe, what's happening now? Sorry to disappoint you, but my subscription don't expire.
The match is not on my GoTV package.
Now your holla be that. I beg, give me your phone. Make I show you how you go take do it for my GoTV app for your phone.
Life is so much easier with my GoTV app. Make payments, clear error messages, change your package. You can also check your due dates and keep abreast of your payment history. The new My GoTV app is everything you need in one place. So what are you waiting for? Download My GoTV app now from Google Play or App Store to enjoy the easy life. GoTV. Live it, love it.
NTA International News. Africa as it is.
Lower patronage for Nigeria's raw materials and products at the global market is what federal government seeks to address with the inauguration of ministerial committees to drive the campaign for standardization and competitiveness of locally produced products. Joshua Ojitu has the story.
It was in 2017 that the Federal Executive Council approved the document on National Strategy on Competitiveness in Raw Materials and Products formulated by the Raw Materials Research and Development Council. The document is to, among others, promote research, innovations and standardization in raw materials to compete favorably in the global market. To step up the process, 10 subcommittees with membership from Ministries of Information, Justice, Education, Commerce and Industries, as well as Finance and Agriculture, are driving the implementation.
It is hopeful that in the short term, these various subcommittees will take advantage of the border closure by the federal government of Nigeria and assess its positive socio-economic impact on the production and utilization of raw materials for local industries.
Our processes can be in tandem with international best practices in whatever we are doing from now on. and above all, to see how we can use science, technology, and innovation to diversify the economy.
The challenge we have is the propensity of an average Nigerian to think that, in quotes, foreign products are better. No, they are not. We also, as part of our mandate, is to ensure that every of our members produce to standards.
Addressing patronage for foreign raw materials in the country is another area of interest for the committees. In Abuja, Joshua Ojito, NTA News.
Now, in marking the 2020 World Wildlife Day, United Nations has promised to sustain its support for Nigeria to investigate and prosecute crimes against protected species of wildlife in line with its Convention Against Corruption. Onengiye Fanface reports.
They are reptiles with the unique hard protective shell. They are the longest living land animal in the world. Slowly, these beauties are facing existential threats from man, as it is the case with other wildlife. This event, put together by National Park Service, aligns with global commemoration of Wildlife Day designated to conserve and preserve animals and the ecosystem.
It's time to check and balance the sexes' witness in the fight against wildlife crimes.
Ecosystems can directly reduce carbon emissions, mitigating climate change with the ocean, peatlands and forests all acting as natural carbon sinks.
The U.S. mission to Nigeria works closely with Nigerian authorities to train enforcement and management authorities in a variety of subjects, all designed to help fight trafficking in wildlife and sustainability of natural resources.
At the request of the government of Nigeria, UNODC, together with its partner organizations under the ICCWC, will initiate the implementation of the ICWC toolkit and indicate a framework for wildlife and forest crime.
I am calling on the general public to cooperate with government policies that are geared towards protecting wildlife so that our wildlife will thrive.
The theme for World Wildlife Day 2020 is sustaining all life on Earth, including that of these beauties. In Abuja, Onengiye Fanface, NTA News.
Entrenchments of whistleblower policy in regulatory and revenue-generating agencies is underway as government affirms its commitment to check rampant corruption, financial irregularities, and other forms of corrupt practices. Comfort Amodu reports that this is part of federal government's open governance initiative.
An eagle eye has been scrutinizing public funds, recovering assets and looted funds, as well as checking sharp practices. It is a systematic concept which targets soiled fingers dipped into government funds in engineering a more responsible and prudent administrative structure in the nation's financial sector. The aptly named Whistleblower policy was introduced in 2017, apparently leaning on transparency and accountability to discipline the low-hanging fruits which have blossomed. Through the implementation of this policy, the government, according to the Presidential Advisory Committee Against Corruption, recovered 594.09 billion naira in less than 3 years. With the policy yielding results, federal government has taken further steps to entrench the policy in revenue-generating agencies in the country.
Can we develop a set of training guidelines that are standardized, that can be utilized in conducting these trainings? And the beauty of that is that those trainings will also have, as part of the process, utilization of the guidelines on compliance in the context of whistleblowing in all MDAs across board.
There is provision already for them to be anonymous. The portal that they used is designed in such a way that nobody will know them.
Now, by the time you make it a legislation and you make it mandatory in all revenue-generating agencies, then you can see that, one, recoveries will be made. Two, many people will be discouraged. There will be deterrence.
The meeting proposed to engage the Central Bank of Nigeria, the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation, NNPC, Federal Inland Revenue Service, Securities and Exchange Commission, SEC, National Pension Commission, and the Nigerian Customs Service. Others are Nigerian Immigration Service, Nigerian Port Authority, Universal Basic Education, JAM, NECO, National Universities Commission, and the Tertiary Education Trust Fund. The entrenchment of whistleblower policy in regulatory and revenue-generating agencies in the country is a pointer that the Eagle Eye in public funds is determined to find all hidden treasures of the government. In Abuja, Comfort Amadou, NTA News.
Time now for a peek into the world of sports. Nigeria's Flamingos set to confront Guineans in the FIFA Under-17 Women's World Cup qualifier in Conakry on Saturday. Ayodeji Makinde has details on Sports Update.